Hi guys, welcome to a new live session today. I'm waiting for people to join. We are going to have a very interesting talk today with economic expert Marwan and Mikhael. I know you all have a lot of questions and I'm going to try to address all the questions I received. But we need to follow a structured talk and I don't want it to exceed an hour. So I'm gonna add Marwan in a bit. A lot of you, I spoke about Marwan 2 days ago. He's an ex-economist at the IMF. He also is was the head of research at Blom Invest. Marwan has a lot of expertise and experience in the field. He will enlighten us on a lot of topics and especially on the latest government plan, ABL plan, and also we're going to discuss the IMF bailout, unemployment, inflation. I'm going to add Marwan now. Hi Marwan,
Hi,
how are
Kiki.
you?
Fine, and you?
Good, good. Thanks for being our guest tonight. And it's really an honor to have you as a guest
Thank
because
you.
a lot of people are waiting to hear your opinion on the economic situation. We all have unanswered questions. People are panicking. They don't know what to do with their money, with their deposits. So today I'm going to try to tackle all these issues, but I want to focus mainly on the government plan, ABL plan at the beginning. Then we're going to talk about the IMF bailout. We're going to also discuss a bit the Lebanese lira, inflation and unemployment. Okay, Marwan. So
Okay.
I'm going to start straight away with the government's reform plan. I'd like to know, how do you assess the final government reform plan?
At least, I have lots of comments on it, or maybe some critics, but for me, at least we have a plan right now that will constitute a base for the discussions in the country and with the IMF.
Mm.
So if we didn't have maybe a government plan, there would not have been maybe an ABL plan.
Mm.
So in any case, and other plans also are mushrooming, if you want. Lots of people now are doing the effort of putting in place a plan. But this is a positive thing. Now we have a plan, a good base for discussion. There is no plan in the world that can, if you want, on which everybody will agree. Because you have different point of views in economics. It's a social science. It's not an exact science. So, which is normal to have lots of divergent views on a certain plan or economic plan. So, but for me, the positive thing is that we have a plan, and now we can discuss or which points are positive and which are not, in my opinion.
Okay. Don't you think that the government plan is fair باتجاه البنوك basically لأنه a lot of people say that the banks were bearing all the losses يعني in the plan of the government. Do you think it's fair given that they were part of it?
No, for me, I will do the distinction between the first draft of the plan, where the government put or it has made the banks and depositors pay for all the losses of the government and the central bank, and they said that they will take 50-60% of deposits of people's deposits and all of that. And the second version, the final one, where there is still some nuances, they didn't explicitly said that, they left the door open for some negotiation about how to restructure the banking sector. So this is, if you want, they left some ambiguity in the final draft of the second plan. And in itself, it's not bad because they left the door open for negotiations. But for me, there is still one caveat that for them, the central bank, the restructuring of the central bank, they want also the banks and the depositors to still bear part of the losses of the central bank. And here I diverge because there is no country in the world that has restructured its central bank and made the cost and made the banks and depositors pay for the cost of restructuring of the central bank. I can agree with the fact that the banks and depositors have to bear the cost of restructuring government debt because the banks invested part of their deposits or of the deposits of their clients in government papers. So whenever there will be a haircut on government debt, the banks will have to bear the cost of this haircut. But if the central bank was badly managed, so as you have made the banks bear the cost because the shareholders of the banks, if you want, bear the cost of their investments in the government papers, also you have to make the shareholder of the central bank bear the cost of restructuring the central bank. And who is the shareholder of the central bank mainly? Who is the owner? It's at the end, it's the government. So the government is the main shareholder of the central bank. And this is why it's the government job to restructure the central bank. It's not for banks and depositors to restructure the central bank. And this is why I am saying that I agree on the part where the banks will have to bear the cost of debt restructuring of the government, but then it's not for them also to bear the cost of restructuring the central bank. And here the central bank can amortize its losses over 15, 20 years. So it's not necessary that there will be a bailout for the central bank. The most important thing for me is to restore the profitability of the central bank in order for the central bank to be able to amortize its losses over the years. Because in order to amortize losses, companies, take a normal company. If it accumulates losses over the previous, for example, 5 years, in order to amortize these losses in the future, it has to start making profits. So when it starts making profits, it can absorb these losses. So this is why it's the same for the central bank. So the most important thing is now to restore the profitability of the central bank in order for the central bank to be able to amortize its losses over the next 15 or 20 years.
But how to restore the profitability of the central bank then?
I mean, the central bank will have to reduce interest rates. It has done some of it, and it can continue to reduce interest rates. And here, I think interest rates on US dollars should become maybe negative.
Definitely.
On deposits. And you have also the interest rates on the Lebanese pound, they can decline to 3-4% maximum. In order to keep the differential, because it's important to keep differential between Lebanese pounds and dollars, specifically or especially in this period, in order to encourage people to go to the Lebanese pound deposit. So, and here the losses, if you want to get into the details of restructuring the banking sector, the losses that the government plan is talking about, I disagree with all that is related to Lebanese pounds losses, because for me, as I said, for the central bank, like, it can amortize these losses for banks also. What is important for me is the hole that exists in US dollar deposits. This is the most important, and this is what created the problem at the beginning, because the problem was that you have why there was capital in.
How do you hide this loss? Because we see a lot of numbers, but what is the real number in your opinion?
For me, I don't want to define a loss. I want to define a hole in forex. If you want, in foreign exchange deposits. Why? because this is that has created the crisis. This was the main issue, because why the banks couldn't transfer money for their clients abroad? Because they didn't have the dollars. You have 112 billion denominated in dollars, deposits denominated in US dollars, and then the liquidity in dollars in the whole market is around 34 billion. So you have a hole of $78 billion that does not exist.
34 billion, but how are you supposing? Because the reserves in the central bank is 20 billion. The 14.
You have 20 billion in the central bank. You have to add on it 3 to 4 billion that the central bank has invested in papers abroad, and then you have to add 5 billion of foreign assets of commercial banks, and you add around $5 billion of cash that exists in the Lebanese homes.
Okay.
So this is the liquidity in the system. So what is left is $78 billion. So $78 billion that we have for me to reduce this gap, or to try to close this gap over the next 5 years. Because these $78 billion are only dollars that exist on papers. This is what we have called, or on Twitter, lots of people are calling it dollars, Lebanese dollars.
Yeah.
In fact, if we want to go back a little bit in time, starting 2011, at least 2011, because in 2011 we started to have a negative balance of payments. A balance of payments that is negative means that more dollars are going outside Lebanon during a year, so more dollars than inflows. So we have more outflows of US dollars compared to inflows. And when you have more outflows of US dollars, it means that every interest that you are paying in US dollars on deposits is only on paper. You don't have it. Why you don't have it? Because you have more dollars going outside the country. You don't have dollars coming in the country in order to pay for the interest of your deposits. And all deposits that are being transferred from Lebanese pounds to US dollars, also all of this was on paper. These didn't exist, because people are wondering, where did this $78 billion go? So it evaporates. They think that it evaporates. No, for me, it didn't exist in the beginning. It didn't evaporate. It existed only on paper from 2011 at least till now. The accumulation of because before 2011 we had large surpluses in the balance of payments. So we had the dollars to pay, but after starting 2011 we had more outflows of US dollars than inflows, and therefore every creation of dollars in the system was only on paper, and it didn't exist really. So this is why now we ended up when the system, and this has exaggerated, if you want, or it exacerbated starting 2016 with the financial engineering schemes. So when the financial engineering schemes started, this has been amplified exponentially. And we got to a point where there is a lost confidence, and when the confidence is lost, then you had the run on banks, and banks could not transfer so the money abroad. And this is how the unofficial capital control started. And so now the most important thing is to try to absorb or to close these $78 billion gap. For me, this is the main thing. Talking about losses and other things, okay, fine, but for me, this is not the main issue. The main issue, because if we didn't have this gap in the accounts of the central bank and the commercial banks, we didn't have the crisis.
Because it looks like يعني اليوم شفنا الABL, the plan of the ABL, it looks like they disregard a bit the FX part, and they are mainly talking about avoiding internal default.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not feasible, because when you default on Eurobonds, external holders of Eurobonds, foreign holders, will not accept that you restructure only their part and you don't restructure the Eurobonds held by Lebanese banks.
Okay.
I mean, why you should punish only external holders?
But
So
reschedule, Marwan, do you think, or we cannot avoid a bail-in and a bank restructuring, by rescheduling?
No. I mean, there should be a haircut. The
Okay.
debt to GDP is not sustainable, especially that we will have a large decline in GDP denominated in US dollars in 2020 and maybe in 2021. So this GDP denominated in US dollars that will decline from 57 billion to around 33 billion dollars because of the devaluation of the Lebanese pounds. هيدا dollar هيدا GDP. So if you keep the debt at a very high level, then it is really unsustainable, and the IMF will not accept, and the creditors will not accept that. So we should get into a debt to GDP ratio that is on a declining trend. هيدا أهم شيء. To get there, we cannot escape a haircut on Eurobonds. And maybe on treasury bills, we can do a rescheduling and try to see how we can reduce also the weight of treasury bills on reprofiling, doing a reprofiling of treasury bills in order to reduce the weight on the government. So at the end, whatever scenarios we will consider, or the creditors will consider, or the IMF, they will do the minimum necessary in order to get the debt to GDP ratio on a sustainable trend, which means declining trend, and to get in 4 or 5 years, debt to GDP should go to below 100%.
Okay. هلا عندي جو عواد عم بيسأل, without reforms and solving political issues, to what extent can we save the country?
No, we're going to a Venezuela scenario without a reform.
Without IMF, or
because the IMF is linked to reforms. If the government will not do reforms, serious reforms, because it's not only the debt restructuring or the central or the banking system restructuring. It took lots of buzz recently because the ABL was not happy and they went on with another plan, and also the central bank was against the government plan for banking system restructuring. But at the end, what is more important than that, you have a list of lots of reforms that the government should do, and that the IMF will put on its conditionalities in order to disburse money. And these reforms, most of them, you have some fiscal, but you have lots of structural reforms. So, and when saying you have lots of structural reforms, the government should be serious about it. Now, if the government didn't do these structural reforms, the confidence will not be restored. And if the confidence will not be restored, then nothing else will work. And we will go into a Venezuela style of crisis.
So our main problem today is political. Do you agree?
Partly, yes. I mean, you have to have some, the political system, or the government at least, should commit to this. You have to have political commitment to reforms. Now, I hope and I think that the government, the actual government, is committed to reforms. Now, how much it can maneuver to pass these reforms, because most of them need some parliamentary approval for laws and other things. This is one. Second, and I think the IMF will test the motivation of the government and the commitment of the government by imposing prior actions before getting into the program. The IMF will ask the government. The prior action thing is that the government will, the IMF will come and ask the government, you should do these 4 or 5 measures before we sign the program. So if you do these measures, or part of signing the program, you should do these measures. When you do these measures, we start the program, and then we start dispersing money. But in order for you to show that you're committed to reforms, for example, they may ask the government to appoint the regulatory authority of the electricity, the regulatory authority of telecom, the board of directors of EDL, to appoint the vice governors and the Banking Control Commission people. So maybe these, because these do not need laws, and these need a decision from the cabinet, the Council of Ministers. So, and these should not be very difficult to do if there is a real will for reform. So this is one way of testing the government intentions or seriousness about reforms. And at the end, the IMF, even if we sign and we do the prior actions and we didn't follow up on the other reforms, the IMF will not disperse the money. As simple as that.
But today بنلاحظ انه بيطلعوا من كل اجتماع مع ال IMF, the only thing they say is اجواء كانوا positive, اجواء positive. Is it real? انه الاجواء مظبوط positive or not? Do you have any insights on that?
لكن الاجواء مع الاي ام اف ما عنده مشكل، يعني الاي ام اف ما بيقول لك انه لا وما بدي وما بعمل. الاي ام اف بيجي بيقول انه you guys we are discussing the plan and we should set. اول شيء هلا بيكون عم بيدرس every point in the plan. الاي ام اف is asking questions. هلا الاي ام اف مشان هيك الاجواء ايجابيه، بتكون ايجابيه لان الاي ام اف now is asking questions about بيكون this is what we, when I work at the IMF, when we go to a program country, we want to have a program, we start asking the questions about the government plan. How did you calculate this? Very technical. It goes very technical. How did you calculate this? How did you do that? How this reforms? How will you implement this? How will you do that? I mean, maybe very technical. I mean, they go into how did you compute the exchange rate of this? How did you, why you have the assumption that the exchange rate will be at 4,200 in few years? What is behind your assumption? So it is a very technical discussion right now. So
the plan as the government proposed it, do you think it's enough for the IMF to approve it, given that they didn't take the opinion of the private sector and the banking sector when they published this report? Is it enough for the IMF, or will they have to do amendments and work together, ABL and the government, to come up with a final plan?
Not necessarily ABL, but even the IMF, because I told you there was an ambiguity in the part regarding the bank restructuring. So the IMF will come when it comes to the restructuring of the banks. The IMF will come and will try to do its own homework of how the banks will have to be restructured in order to keep the viability of the banking system, because you don't want to kill banks at the end, because this is a very important sector in the Lebanese economy. We don't have a developed capital markets. We should go for developing capital markets. This should be a very important pillar in the government future plan. But until now, the banking sector is the main financing, if you want, system for the Lebanese economy. So without the banking system, there is no financing in the Lebanese economy. And I think you will kill economic growth for the next decade. So for me, it's very important. First, you have the program to be comprehensive. So all elements should be there. And starting with the reform of the government itself. So, I mean, we have to talk about, for me, what is important more than the restructuring of banks, because this is very technical, the restructuring of banks, because I will tell you that it will end up going to each bank, and this is how it should be done, going to each bank and doing a stress test on each bank to see if it can stand or not, how much recapitalization it will need. So, and you have some banks, of course, that will disappear. I mean, de facto, because they will not withstand the stress test, or if there is a stress test, meaning a company will come and will say, I take the assumption that there is a haircut of 60-70% on Eurobonds and maybe 20% on treasury bills, and the non-performing loans of banks go up to 30% or 40%. So what is left from this bank's capital? For each bank, they do some scenarios, haircut of 50%, 60%, haircut of 70%. So they do many simulations, and then they will see which bank can stand and how much recapitalization does it need. And if the actual shareholder are ready to bring back some of their money from abroad to keep their bank alive. So it is very technical. But for me, the most important thing is the commitment for the reforms at the government level. Yeah. How you will reform the public sector, how you will install governance. And this is now not being tackled in the media. And for me, this is the most important thing, not if you have to reduce the number of banks, or no, you have to introduce 5 new licenses, or no. I mean, these are technical things that we will get to when we will get to these things. But the most important thing is, how do you reform governance? How do you install governance? How do you go about fight corruption? Because, and this is where I always try to tell the government, because it does not exist in the government plan, that you need tangible targets for people to follow you. What are the tangible targets, for example? Now Lebanon is ranked 190 in 200 among 209 countries in corruption, the corruption index that is issued by the World Bank. So we are ranking 190. So we are at the end. We are one of the most corrupted countries. This is what it means. The government should come and say that my target is that in 4 years, I will go down to become in the first 50 countries in the ranking of corruption. And this is how I can follow the government, if it is taking the right steps every year, how much it is improving in the corruption index in order to get to this target. So this is how the government can restore confidence. The government should say, now I am ranked at 143 in the doing business environment. So I have one of the worst doing business environment.
Marwan, this is something that takes time. In the meantime, what would happen? يعني
No. Yeah, but in the meantime, خايفين على الديبوزيت. بس أنا عم بقول العالم المفروض يخافوا على هيدي الأمور أكثر، لأنه بس نصلح هاي الأمور الأساسية بالدولة، الباقي بيصير هين. بالنسبة لي the most important and the toughest reforms are the reforms of the public sector. The reforms of how the public sector is functioning, how the public sector will become more efficient, how I will reform, for example, the education sector. I have now عندي 60 70 ألف أستاذ، عندي الريشيو تلميذ للأساتذة 7-8 بالقطاع العام، وعندي إياه 21 بالقطاع الخاص. ومع العلم إنه المدارس الخاصة هي أفضل بكتير من المدارس الرسمية.
مظبوط.
إيه، أنا يعني عم بدفع مصاري، الكوست أعلى بكتير بالمدارس الرسمية. هو
مظبوط.
إذا بدك أوفر كتير على الجفرمنت، هلا ما رح تصير، بس أنا عم بدك أوفر كتير على الجفرمنت، يسكر كل المدارس الرسمية ويمول هو المدارس الخاصة. لأنه الكوست تبع التلميذ بالمدرسة الرسمية هو 3 times على الدولة، هو 3 times the cost of a student in a private school.
ايش.
يعني هذا عم تتكلف الدولة على التلميذ اللي عم يتعلموا بالمدرسة الرسمية، ويا ريت النتائج على قد الكلفة. هون is important to do a reform, serious reform. لو مفروض يمكن في أساتذة رح يطيروا من وظائفهم، في مدارس مفروض تتسكر، ما مفروض بقى نفتح مدارس، ما لنا بحاجة لمدارس بالأطراف، بنأمن لهم مواصلات للتلميذ، بنحسن مستوى المدرسة. أنا كان عندي اقتراح، هلا عم بفوت بقصص تانية بس عم لك انه تعطيك اكزامبل. كان عندي اقتراح نعمل مدرسة نموذجية، يلي هي انا بجيب مين احسن بلد بالاديوكيشن بالعالم. هلا بقول لك اي سيستم الفرنساوي الفنلندي، هلا بيحكوا كثير عن فنلند انه اتس ون اوف ذا بيست. بجيب الدوله هوني بقول لهم هيدا لوك، بعطيها مطرح، بعطيها مبنى، بقول لها اعملوا لي مدرسه مثل عندكم نموذجيه، شو ما تكون كلفتها. انا هاي المدرسه وبدي اعطي توب نوتش، يكون فيها توب نوتش ستودنت اللي فيها يطلعوا توب نوتش. بعمل هيك لان بدك طريقه اداره. هي طريقه اداره بصير I will benchmark all other public schools to this school، ويمكن اعمل بكل محافظه او اوصل اعمل بكل قضاء مدرسه مثل هيدي
بس مروان افكارك كثير حلوه
مثلا.
بالريفورم بلان تبع الجفرمنت، يعني ما بنشوف انه شددوا على الريفورمز، يعني حتى ما عاد تو ديتاي، يعني حتى الكهرباء كانت فور لاين، يعني كهرباء اللي سيكتور بتخسر كثير بالبلد، صار لها مخسرتنا 2 بليون بير يير، يعني كانوا عم يحكوا عنها نموذج صغير كثير. يعني كيف بتفسر هالشيء، وكيف الاي ام اف رح تقبل فيها اصلا؟
لا لا، اي ام اف رح تفوت بالتفاصيل، ما هي ما في مشكله يعني، لانه هيدي امور السكتورال. الاي ام اف شو بهمه بالكهرباء؟ اللي راح يفوت بالتفاصيل هو الورلد بانك، راح يحط اذا في كونديشناليتيز بكره، لان الاي ام اف بيتعامل مع الورلد بانك
امم.
من شان سكتورال ثينج. يعني الاي ام اف بيطلع على الماكرو. الاي ام اف بهمه من الكهرباء انه بكره ما تضلها تخسر الدوله، انه
امم.
بده نسكر تنقول. مش بده، انا عم بقول لك اكزامبل، يمكن يكون بده نسكر عايز الكهرباء بال 2022، نحن ما بقى الدوله تدعم ولا شيء بالكهرباء. هذا
ايه.
يمكن بهمه هو. هلا
اوكي.
هاو تو جيت ذير، اللي بيجي بحط التفاصيل هو الورد بانك. الورد بانك بيجي بيقول لك انت شو بدك تعمل، لانه عنده اكسبرتس بايتش سيكتور، شو
امم.
ما الخطوات المفروض تاخذيها تتسكري العجز الكهرباء.
امم.
الاي ام اف بهمه الريزلت بهذا الموضوع. So it doesn't go into the details of sectoral reforms. sectoral reforms إن كان بالeducation في experts للورد بانك، إن كان بالسوشيال في experts للورد بانك، إن كان بالكهرباء. الاي ام اف fiscal, monetary, external balance، والماكرو ايكونومي real economy in general growth inflation. سو اكسشينج ريت، هول كلهم بيتعاطى فيهم الاي ام اف. بس فوتي على ديتيلز بالسيكتورز، هون بيتدخل بيجي دور الورد بانك.
طيب ومروان، قد ايه وقت بدنا يعني نيغوشيشن مع الاي ام اف، قد ايه بعد بدها تاخذ وقت تنوصل ل certain agreement with them؟
ما عندي فكره لانه ما بعرف شو عم بيصير بالتفاصيل، بس انا اي اكسبكت انه كيف ما كان تاخذ 4 5 اشهر.
بعد في 4 5 اشهر والاماونت.
لانه اساسا عم بتكون بويبكس، ومره او مرتين بالجمعه. هن لو بغير ويبك، لو كان في مجال يجوا يمكن تاخذ اقل، لانه بيجوا بيقعدوا هون جمعتين ثلاثه كل يوم من الصبح لعشيه ميتينجز، بتصير الامور اهين. هلا بيعملوا لهم 2 ميتينجز بالجمعه، ساعه ونص ساعتين مع وزاره الماليه والسنترال بانك. So it will take time in order to get to a result. وبدها تاخذ بده يكون بده يصير في negotiations على كل بوينت مثل ما عمالك بفوتوا. It
لانه
can be very technical.
amount نحن we're asking 10 times to 11 times our quota. يعني إذا بنطلع على government plan يعني عم بيطلب 9 to 10 billion. Is it feasible اللي عم نطلبه؟ يعني معقول يطلع لنا هالاماونت؟
ايه، لانه بيطلعوا هن الاي ام اف على ماني كرايتيريا، بس بدهم اذا بيعطوها ولا لا، بدهم يكونوا اكيدين انه نحن اول شغله مهمه عندهم اكيدين انه نحن رح نرجع نقدر نرد لهم مصرياتهم لهم. انتبه، هيدي اول شغله بيطلعوا عليها، انه هل نحن بعد 5 سنين ما نطلع من البروجرام، لان نحن بنبلش نرد لهم مصرياتهم بس when we get out of the program in 4 years. اوكي، هيدا بشوفوا بنبلش نرد لهم المصاري تبعهم
بعد 4 سنين، يعني مش قبل ال4 سنين. يعني نبلش نعمل reforms to generate revenue and we start paying back in 4 years.
ايه،
مظبوط؟
لانه بهال4 years هن بيكونوا هن عم يدفعوا لنا.
اوكي
هن
and
بيكونوا عم بيدفعوا لنا ال10 مليار.
بس ما بيدفعون upfront, right? They
لا
pay
لا 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 لا، هن
installments.
they pay by installments for a simple reason، لأنه they want to make sure that we are doing the reforms. لأنه هن بيصيروا يجوا بعدين every 3 months they will visit Lebanon, they will do the assessment. انه لان بيبقوا متفقين معنا حاطين تايم سكيدجول for all the reforms من هلا ل4 سنين، شو بدنا نعمل بهول 3 اشهر وبالتاني 3 اشهر وبالتالي 3 اشهر. every 3 months we should there is a list of reforms that we should do, we should implement during these 3 months. بيجوا اخر كل 3 اشهر they will see if we implemented، بيقولوا لنا برافو، رح ندفع لكم
next.
الترانش كل 3 اشهر. اذا في شيء 3 اشهر ما عملنا ريفورمز، بس اذا ناقصه وحده ريفورمز بيقولوا عملتوا 3 في وحده ما عملتوها، رح ندفع لكم هلا، بس على شرط هيدي تعملوها باول الكوارتر اللي بعده دغري. وبالكوارتر اللي بعده بشوفوا اذا عملناها وعملنا كل ريفورم. اذا طلعنا مثلا بكوارتر 3 من اصل 4 مش عاملينهم للريفورمز، بقولوا لنا سوري ما رح ندفع لكم.
اوكي
وقفنا هون. So
اوكي.
this is how the IMF works. And so الانستولمنتس بيكونوا over 4، يمكن يعطونا اول سنه اكثر. يعني مثلا تنقول اذا بدنا نقسم 9 مليار 4 سنين بيطلع لك بالسنه مليارين و200. يمكن يعطوك اول سنه 3 مليار، يقول لك لانه you need a front loading disbursement او 3 مليارات ونص من شان تقدر تعالجي امورك هلا بهالسنه، والباقي بقسطون. يعني it depends how we negotiate and what we can get.
و is it interest bearing كمان؟
اكيد it's interest bearing but low interest rates. هلا والمهم عندهم كمان هيدي اول شغله نقدر نرد لهم مصرياتهم. ثاني شغله يكونوا اكيدين انه debt to GDP هيدي كمان رح تصير on a sustainable base in 4 years time، ويكونوا شايفين انه نحن بحاجه لهالمصاري كلها in order to be able to get out of the crisis that we are in. وانا بعتقد هن بلبنان اكيد يعني اصلا ما فينا بلا هولي، بلا ما نكون اذا اعطونا بس 3 مليار مثلا ما رح نقدر نطلع من الازمه. لانه الازمه بلبنان، وهيدي صرت قيلها كذا مره، it will be if we sign a program with the IMF it will be the most complex program that the IMF had ever signed with any country. لانه بولا country كان عندك at the same time banking crisis, central bank crisis and debt crisis. كان اذا عندك اوقات مبلشه بالبانكينج كرايسيس بيجوا بيعالجوا البنوك، بتيجي الدوله اوقات بتعمل بيل اوت للبنوك، هي بتدفع، بتفوت شريك بالبنوك، بيعملوا شويه بيل ان وبيمشي الحال، والسنترال بانك بيساعد. هلا السنترال بانك ما في يساعد، وضعه هو بده مساعده، والبنوك كمان الدوله عملت ديت ريستراكشرنج ما فيهم، وضعهم كثير صعب، والدوله ما معها تدفع، مشان هيك عم تعمل ديت ريستراكشرنج.
وعندك كورونا كمان.
وعندك كورونا the cherry on the top.
So
يعني every day of إذا بدك every 2 weeks of corona it's minus 2 percentage points of growth for the year.
فعم تحكي على لبنان scale of Lebanon.
ايه لبنان.
وكمان في شغلة إنه بيقولوا إنه the US consider that this is a Hezbollah's government. You think the international community will provide funding to this government or political conditions may be applied?
لا ما في political condition. الاي ام اف ما بحط political condition، ما في مجال. اي ام اف قلت لك بيحكي technical things، بحط economic conditions economic reforms، اكيد اشياء علاقه بالcorruption بهالامور، بس ما بحط political conditions. الاي ام اف بحط economic conditions. وسمعت اليو اس كان عم بيقول، سمعت الحديث اللي عملوه على التي في مع مساعد مسؤول عن الشرق الاوسط بوزاره الخارجيه الامريكانيه، قال لهم اوكي we consider it انه backed by Hezbollah, there is no doubt about it for the government، بس انه uh, they will deal with the government depending on how the government is dealing with them, on how the government is dealing with the international community. If the government is respecting what the IMF, all the reforms, and is committing to do the reforms, then there is no problem for them to support the government.
They didn't support Venezuela, for example. وبإيران طلبوا aid لكورونا. They didn't provide the aid. إنه نحن رح يكون different. I hope so يعني.
لا ما it's different لأنه فنزويلا it's completely different ball game in فنزويلا. في مظاهرات وفي انقلاب وفي two authorities وفي يعني في lots of things, so this is why وعملوا عليهم sanctions لفنزويلا. كان في كتير امور اللي فاتت بالوضع.
loan will open the way to other funding مثل SADC for example or World Bank funding or bilateral funding.
Of course يعني the importance of the IMF that it is a catalyst for other donors to disperse money. يعني عندك السادر donors in SADR will disperse the SADR money. عندك the World Bank will increase a lot its if you want its contribution to Lebanon, towards Lebanon. The European Union, the EBRD, so the European Commission and the EBRD كمان they will disperse more. So you will have lots of donors coming, especially if they saw that the government is serious and has started to implement some reforms. وأنا برأيي reforms they should start with the appointments. They should appoint the right people at the right place. يعني the way the appointments should be is that choose the best one for each position. So for me, I give you an example. If you want to appoint, you have the CVs of 3 people for the position of vice governor, for example. You look at the CVs. Sometimes it's obvious. There is one CV that stands out between the others, among the others. So you should take this CV and say, this is the one I want to appoint. Now, if you have a political party backing another candidate, then in order not to close the door for the other for the political party, you can tell this political party, I have this CV that is the best one. If you can provide me with someone with an equivalent qualifications, then okay, I can do you a favor and appoint this person. So, but it has to have the same qualifications as the one I have. If you don't, I am sorry. I will take the best one. I won't take an inferior candidate
because
just because it is backed by a political party.
But will that ever happen in Lebanon? Let's be realistic.
I hope so. I hope so. I have lots of hopes that the Prime Minister and especially the Minister of Finance will try to push for this approach. I mean, for the best, not to have it as only political appointments. just to move into a structure that is more entrenched into qualifications of the candidates.
Someone is saying here that they stopped all nominations so far. I
ايه
think.
مظبوط.
طب كيف يعني؟
بس هيدا بس هلا يعني ما هو هون الموضوع انه if you can prove that you are doing the right job وبتبين بالتعيينات of course انه you are doing the right job or the wrong one وراح تبين يعني وبعتقد عم بيقولوا انه next week they will do the appointments يمكن next week or the week after يعني during the coming 2 weeks.
ان شاء الله. دوما انه الجفرمنت حاسس انه ما عنده واي اوت غير ما يعمل ريفورمز مظبوطين ويروح مع الاي ام اف لانه we need today urgent external funding. بس اذا صار ما صار وما طلع لنا IMF loan, we don't have an IMF loan, what would be the result for the country?
فنزويلا.
Can you best elaborate Venezuela بس يفهموا what's
فنزويلا hyper inflation. اوكي negative growth. هايبر انفليشن يعني انفليشن بالمية انفليشن بير يير 150% 400% اللي بدك يو كان نيم ات قد ايه معقول تطلع الانفليشن. نيجاتيف جروث shrinking GDP unemployment poverty all of that cumulative يعني you can accumulate all of these bad developments, so this is where we will end up if we don't have an IMF program.
And today, you had to compare Lebanon to out of all the countries that got an IMF loan, which case is the most similar to Lebanon?
قلت لك ما في similarities مع كذا country بس كل واحد ب certain angle لأنه ما حدا قلت لك كان عنده all the problems that we have. بس يمكن Greece is the most similar لأنه كان عندهم government debt مشكلة بالgovernment debt ومشكلة شوي بالبانكينج سيكتور to a certain extent بس ما كانت كبيرة لأنه ما عندهم كله باليورو يعني عندهم بس هن كمان ما بيطبعوا يورو كجريس كان بدهم حدا يجي يعطيهم يوروز يعني Central Bank of Europe يلي ساعدهم كتير.
ايه exactly. so نحن
ايه نحن عندنا مشكلة بهالموضوع انه نحن ما بنطبع دولارات اصلا ونحن بحاجة لدولارات وما في سنترال بانك يساعدنا مشان هيك we need the IMF يجي يدخلنا دولارات بس نعمل the right reforms in order to start attracting fresh money from investors.
exactly.
مشان هيك we need to do the reforms. وليش قلت لك structural reforms are the most important لأنه إذا بدنا نرجع نصلح الوضع بدنا نعمل structural reforms governance fighting corruption fiscal تنقدر نرجع نقول للعالم we are serious and you can try again to come and invest in Lebanon. We are creating a good environment for investment for tourism. We have lots of potential in tourism. برجع بقول أنا نحن in 1974 لأنه أنا شغل على كل بتشوفيني بحكي بكل سكتر أنا اشتغلت عليهم كلهم. I did the research on most of the sectors.
قريت لك كذا ارتيكل وطالع على كذا outlet and I was introducing you to them, telling them you did a lot of work on that field.
مثلا التوريزم نحن in 1974 we had 1.5 million tourists visiting Lebanon. هلا تعنا 2 مليون انجا نوصل ل 2 مليون تورست كنا ب 2018. اوكي يعني نحن البوتنشل تبعنا اتليست ما بدي اقول لك البوتنشل هلا البوتنشل هو قد ايه في يجي يفوت عالم على المطار so we need to increase the capacity of the hotels in Lebanon but you need stability political stability first. If you have political stability in the country then the potential is unlimited بالتوريزم لانه اذا قلت لك ب 1974 كنا 1.5 مليون بالاردن عم بيجيبوا 4 5 مليون so minimum we can bring in we can double the number of tourists. If we want to go more Egypt عم تجيب 10 مليون tourists. Why Lebanon ولبنان عنده much more diversification in you have the historical you have the sea, you have the winter sports, you have the hiking, you have the countries,
the
you
best
have lots of
sector عنا ديجا already الهوت sector عنا مخيف قد ما انه developed and advanced يعني.
ايه بس انا عم بقول البوتنشال تبعه بعد اكبر بكتير، انه we have a huge potential اكيد، بس you have to have political stability and you have to do the right reforms for in order to be able to attract people again. And now we are cheaper اكيد because of the devaluation.
بدنا نحكي
cheaper for tourists, but for Lebanese their purchasing power has
decline.
been declined.
هيدا بدنا نحكي عنه شوي كمان، بدي احكي عن الليره، لحق شوي احكي عن الليره. انه اليوم لاحظنا انه في multiple exchange rate، عندك الاوفيشال ريت، عندك الاو ام تي ريت، عندك الاكسشينج ريت عند الصراف، عندك ريت بالبنك تسحب فيه. how can we today unify this rate؟ يعني it's not انه عم بيضيعوا الناس و it's starting to create more panic than being reassuring. كيف شو في نعمل on that front؟
هلا ما فينا to unify all the rates right now. لأنه in order to unify the rates you have to have the money to pump it into the market. يعني بدك تقدر يدخل central bank بالسوق ويحمي ليرة على الريت اللي بده يحطه. And this is not feasible right now. So this would be feasible after we start to restore confidence if we sign with the IMF. Then after, in my opinion, after 6 months from signing with the IMF, if we are doing the right reforms and we are getting disbursement from the IMF, then we can unify rates. And we have to now adopt a different monetary policy, a monetary policy based on a flexible exchange rate. Flexible بس يكون في band that is not known by the people but that is known by the central bank, by the monetary authorities. مثل بالجابان، على طول بعطي الاكزامبل اوف جابان لانه نحن مثلهم من ناحيه، اكيد مش مثلهم اقتصادنا، بس نحن مثلهم من ناحيه انه we import all of our inputs. اوكي in order to be able to export. So لا من مصلحتنا الاكسشينج ريت تبع الليره تكون كتير قويه، وهيدا كان اول غلطه، انه الفيكسنج تبع الاكسشينج ريت تبع الليره ب 93 كان 1005 عطى purchasing power كتير عاليه للعالم، بس ضرب الاكسبورتس، ضرب اللوتس اوف سيكتورز. سو لان نحن كمان هون اذا بترجعي قبل 1975 كانوا الاكسبورتس يغطوا 70% من الامبورتس بلبنان. هلا ما بيغطوا 10% 15%. anyway so
productive economy يعني نحن
لا ما هو when you set the exchange rate at a level that is not good for the competitiveness of your economy then you kill the economy. كان همنا بس التجارة وإنه نستورد ونبيع anyway. So هلا the exchange rate should be a band of 30% maybe. يعني أنا بقول لك مثلا a band of، لأنه هو الريل what we call في شيء اسمه real effective exchange rate. هذا بيعتمدوه، بيقولوا هيدا الريت يلي بيناسب الاقتصاد اللبناني حسب الانفليشن عندنا، والانفليشن بكل بلد نحن بنصدر له وبنستورد منه، بتجمعيهم كلهم تعملي ويتنج افريج بيطلع لك اكسشينج ريت. نحن بحدود المفروض يكون 2700 ليره الاكسشينج ريت بلبنان. هلا اكيد عامل اوفر شوتينج لانه في بانيك، يعني بيوصل 4 يمكن بيوصل 5 واكثر لانه في بانيك.
كان عملوه الجفرمنت وين حددوه 2700 اولموست كان.
هن هلا في يعني 3500 و4000، بس انه هيدا نحن من اذا هيدا الريت الافريج المفروض يكون للبنان، السنترال بانك ممكن يتركوا يتحرك بين 2005 و3400 مثلا، او 2006 و3400. anyway بياخذ هالباند ليه؟ لانه اذا نزل كثير، اذا تحسنت كثير الليره نرجع نضرب we will hit our exports. واذا تنزل كثير الليره it will depreciate a lot، بصيروا الانبوتس كمان كثير غاليين، كمان بتاثر على الكوست تبع الاكسبورتس. سو هون مثلا باليابان معتمدين تقريبا بين 105 و125 باند، بس ينزل على 105 دولار 105 ين بيتدخل البنك اوف جابان، وبس يطلع على 125 بيتدخل البنك اوف جابان. سو هيدي their policy هيك مبينه، بس منا معلنه، بس this is بتبين من ورا شو عم بيصير عبر التاريخ، كيف تصرف البنك اوف جابان يعني. بقى
بس
هيدا الاكسشينج ريت، بس بدنا وقت يعني. هلا ما فيك توحديه، ما فيك تفلت الاكسشينج ريت، لانه عندك مشكله بالمواطنين. نزلت البيرشيسنج باور تبعهم اكثر من النص من
مم.
وراء الديفالويشن. كل اللي بيقبض بالليره نزلت البيرشيسنج باور تبعه. هذا اذا ما عم يقبض نص معاش. اللونز تبعهم في يعني منهم كتير عندهم لونز بالدولار. اذا فلت الدولار هلا بصير اللي بيدفع $300 لسيارته كان يدفعها 450,000 قصة سيارته، بصير بده يدفعها هلا بدل 450 يمكن 700,000.
إيه.
طيب يعني هيدا اوريدي نزلت البيرشيسنج باور تبعه، واوريدي عنده بده يدفعها 700,000. يعني هذا خلص ما راح يدفع، هذا قضيت عليه.
مم.
وصار في نون بيرفورمينج لونز بالبنوكي
اكيد.
كمان عليوا اكثر بكثير. سو ميشيل لا، اتس نوت جود فور ذا ايكونومي اذا بدك هلا بالوقت
مم.
الحاضر انك تفلت الموضوع.
اوكي. بس اليوم اللونز، اذا واحد عنده لونز بالدولار، شو رح يعملوا وقتها؟ رح يفلتوها كيف؟ رح يحلوا هالمشكله؟ Now they are planning، يعني شفنا بالgovernment plan they are planning to.
ايه هيدي بعدين قلت لك، بس الاي ام اف
مم.
يبلش then when you restore confidence الاكسشينج ريت اصلا بيتحسن.
مم.
ما
اوكي.
بيقعد العالم عندها هالبانيك. يعني
اوكي.
الاكسشينج ريت بيرجع بينزل، ما بيضلوا يطلع. ولما بينزل الاكسشينج ريت بصير في محل يمكن في منه تعطيهم سوشيال اسيستنس، في منه تعطيهم مصاري السنترال بانك يساعدهم، ما بعرف. بتصير تلاقي لها فورميل، بس بيكون صار عندك شويه ستابيليتي وفيجن للاكسشينج ريت بالماركت شو راح يكون. ساعتها you can see what you will do for these people, for people who have loans in US dollar.
مروان، انت قلت لي يعني ديزون تو نيغوشيت مع الاي ام اف بدنا 5 اشهر تنوصل على لايك ان اجريمنت.
هيدا تقديري انا، ان شاء الله بنوصل بشهرين، انا بكون كتير مبسوط يعني.
اكيد اعمل تقديرات، وبيرجع بدنا 6 اشهر من بعدها بين implementation ويوصل to get the funding and to start the work. So عم نحكي almost a year. يعني بدها almost a year تنقدر to have a unified rate. In the meantime شو رح يصير بالريت؟ يعني اليوم الناس ال purchasing power كتير خاف. طب what's gonna happen to this rate in the meantime؟
هلا مثل ما هن عم يجربوا هلا يعملوا، ما في غير طريقه انه يجربوا شوي يجمدوا الريت، يتدخل شوي مصرف لبنان، يمنعوا التلاعب. لانه في عالم هلا هو ما فيك تضبط الباراليل ماركت، ليتس بي رياليستيك، لانه بمصر كل شيء هي ديكتاتوريه.
مم.
جربوا يضبطوا الباراليل ماركت وقت كان عندهم، وقت عملوا كرايسس ورجعوا جابوا الاي ام اف وعملوا بروجرام مع الاي ام اف وطلعوا منها، وكانت ات واز فيري جود امبلمنتيشن للبروجرام. لانه بتعرفي في هونيك وان ديسيجن ميكر ياخذ كل القرارات اللي يطلبوها منه عملها. بس انه ما قدروا ضبطوا وقت كان في الكرايسس. جربوا يضبطوا الباراليل ماركت ويوقفوا صرافين وكذا، ما زبطت. هلا المشكله عندنا بلبنان انه كمان في شيء اسمه طمع عند الصرافين، وبلشوا في تلاعب. يعني واحد لما
اه.
انا بشتري الدولارات وما ببيعهم بخليهم عندي، لانه بقول بعد جمعتين بده يطلع، بيجي كل واحد بيسالني بقول له ما عندي دولار وكذا. هذا صار اسمه تلاعب بالسوق، يلي هو مش مقبول. بس انا
supply.
ايه بالنتيجه سبلاي وديماند. انا اذا عندي حدا عم يطلب مني، حدا عم بيقول لي انا عم بيع الدولار مثلا 3500، بيجي واحد بيقول لي انا بشتري منك الدولار ب 3700، لانه هول بتعرف التريدرز هيدا بده يستورد من برا،
مم.
هيدا مستعد يدفع اعلى من اللي موجود تياخد دولار. لانه اذا بيجي لعند الصراف بيقول له 3500، بيكون الصراف يمكن بيبيعهم كلهم للدولارات على 3500. بقول
مم.
له ما عندي. بيجي بيقول له انا بعطيك 4000 ليره بالدولار، بس اعطيني الدولارات تبعك لإلي
ايه.
تيقدر يستورد، لانه ولا بده يسكر شركته يعني.
اكيد.
اكيد في كثير عالم عم تسكر، في كثير عالم حتى موظفين نازلين الامبورتس 40% 36% اول شهرين، وراح ينزلوا اكثر يمكن. سو
رح يخلص هيدا اللايف لانه اتس 1 اور. بدي ارجع اضطر سكر وافتح. فينا نرجع نفتح الكونفرسيشن بعد شي 15 minutes او عليك؟ بس لانه عندنا فيو كويشنز عم بتشوف الناس كلها انترستد، يعني عم بيسالوك 100 سؤال، عم جرب لحق على الكل. just 10 15 minutes can we do it continue.
اوكي اوكي.
فكر وارجع هلا to contact you. Okay, just to
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Okay.